Every man dreams of wealth. Every woman longs for success. But the great error is believing that these things arrive by chance, by favor, or by luck. They do not. Wealth and success are effects. They are reflections of the growth you have forced upon yourself through discipline, intention, and a definite purpose. You do not attract wealth by waiting for it. You do not attract success by admiring it in others. You attract these things by becoming the kind of person who commands them, not through noise, but through evolution. Growth is the doorway through which every fortune must walk, and not comfort, not convenience, not casual ambition, but growth that is forced, growth that is chosen in the face of every excuse. If you are waiting for inspiration to grow, you will wait your life away. You must force yourself to grow. That is the price. It is easy to remain who you are. It is natural to defend the familiar, but if you wish to experience a life that is uncommon, you must become someone who grows uncommonly. You must do the difficult work of becoming. You must look at yourself not with criticism, but with truth and say, this version of me will not get me where I intend to go. And then, with faith and fire, begin the work of becoming something greater. Most people never grow. They age, but they do not evolve. They become older, but not wiser. They repeat the same year again and again and call it a life. And when they see someone growing, someone challenging their old limits, someone daring to rise, they call it arrogance. They call it obsession. They call it unnecessary. But I call it necessary. Because nothing changes until you do. You will not out-earn your growth. You will not outperform your self-image. You will not out-succeed your belief system. If your mind is small, your life will shrink to fit it. If your habits are weak, your results will crumble under pressure. And if your thinking is rooted in fear, you will never experience the freedom you crave. But if you force yourself to grow daily, deliberately, with discipline, then wealth becomes inevitable. Success becomes a consequence. Because wealth is not something you chase. It is something you magnetize by becoming more. The man who grows becomes attractive, not just in charm, but in value. He becomes a source. He becomes a builder. And in a world of consumers, the builder always wins. So how do you force yourself to grow? You begin by eliminating the lie that growth must feel good. It doesn't. It often feels painful, confusing, lonely. Growth stretches your ego. It exposes your patterns. It brings your weaknesses into the light. And that is why so many avoid it. But hear me. Your pain in growth is not punishment. It is preparation. Do not curse your growing pains. Bless them. They are evidence that you have left the old self behind. They are signs that the seeds you've planted are cracking open, breaking through the dirt, reaching for the sun. And though that process is invisible, it is real. You are not stuck, you are sprouting. And if you keep going, the fruit will arrive. But first you must train your mind to love the discipline, force yourself to study, to learn, to expand your understanding, to expose yourself to new ideas, to sharpen your mind like a blade, not for the sake of information, but for the sake of transformation. You must force yourself to do what average people avoid. Wake earlier. Think longer. Reflect deeper. Speak with clarity. Move with intention. Delay gratification. Master your impulses. Replace reaction with response. This is the work of growth, and the man who commits to this work, regardless of how he feels, will begin to rise, slowly at first, imperceptibly. But one day, he will wake up and notice his emotions are steadier. His focus is sharper. His relationships are stronger. His bank account is increasing. His opportunities are multiplying. And the people who once laughed at his discipline will begin to study his decisions. Because results don't lie. But the real prize is not the wealth. It is who you became in order to hold it. There are many men who inherit money and lose it because they never grew. There are many men who gain attention but collapse because they never matured. Success without growth is a curse, but success that follows growth is sustainable because it rests on the solid ground of character, clarity, and command. And let me say this plainly. You will not drift into this kind of growth. You must decide. You must force it. You must set standards higher than your mood. You must honor the alarm when it rings. You must choose action when your emotions say wait. You must say yes to effort when your body says rest. That is how you build strength. That is how you condition your mind for wealth. Not through comfort, but through consistency. Now, you must surround yourself with people who stretch you. People who challenge your ideas, not out of rebellion, but out of respect for your potential. The wrong environment will lull you back to sleep. The right one will shake you awake. Seek out mentors. Read from the greats. Listen to voices that push you higher. And cut off everything that makes you comfortable staying the same. Because your future depends on it. Growth is not something you get around to. It is something you prioritize. You must put it at the top of your calendar. You must block time for it. You must protect it. And you must execute on it daily, without fail. Read journal. Reflect plan. Review push. Track repeat. This is the rhythm of builders. This is the cadence of champions. And when you do this long enough, when you repeat these disciplines day after day after day, your confidence will rise. Not because of compliments, but because of consistency. And confidence built on consistency cannot be shaken, because it is earned. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself with a certainty that no critic can cancel, because you know what they do not. You forced yourself to grow. You showed up when you didn't want to. You finished the race when quitting was easier. You paid the price in silence. And now you move in power. Wealth follows that man. Success chases that man. Because the man who grows becomes magnetic. He becomes a person of value, a leader, a creator, a light in the dark, a solution in a world of problems. And people pay attention to those who bring light. People pay for value. And wealth flows towards certainty, not insecurity. That is the secret. Force yourself to grow. Become valuable. And money will come. Not all at once. Not overnight. But surely, steadily, with each step forward, your mind expands. With each hour invested, your capacity increases. With each obstacle overcome, your confidence compounds. And over time, you will look back and realize the man you are now would be unrecognizable to the man you once were. Not because of your net worth, but because of your self-worth, because of your discipline, because of your mental sharpness, because of your spiritual depth, because of your refusal to stay where you started. That is what growth does. It changes everything, inside first, then outside. And the men who commit to that change without excuse, without delay, without apology, those are the men who build empires. Not empires of ego, but empires of impact. They do not shout. They do not brag. They do not beg. They become. They build. They transform. And because of that transformation, everything they once hoped for becomes a byproduct. Wealth, success, freedom. These are no longer the goal. They are the reward. When a man begins to grow, the universe does not rush to reward him. At first, it tests him. It places obstacles in his way not to defeat him, but to refine him. You see, growth must be proven. It must be reinforced. And that reinforcement comes through friction, through hardship, through pressure. These are not punishments. They are confirmations. They are the universe asking, how serious are you about becoming more? And that is where most turn back. They say they want success, but when growth asks for sacrifice, they hesitate. They say they want wealth, but when discipline demands structure, they resist. They say they want freedom, but when change requires effort, they retreat to what is familiar. But not you, because you understand that growth is a decision you must keep making, not once but daily. You have to force it, especially when it's inconvenient. Because the truth is, the version of you that lives in comfort cannot carry the wealth you desire. He cannot handle the success you're asking for. That version must be upgraded, and upgrades require discomfort. There is no elevation without excavation. You must dig deep. You must remove what no longer belongs. Old habits, old patterns, old excuses. You must become conscious of the thoughts that limit you, the language that sabotages you, the behavior that holds you back. And you must attack them not with shame but with discipline. You must replace weakness with principle, chaos with structure, emotion with execution. This is the grind of greatness. And those who force themselves to grow, who embrace the mental tension of transformation, those are the ones who rise. And not only rise, but remain, because their success is not built on sand, it is built on solid inner character. Do not chase what you have not prepared for. Instead, become the person worthy of receiving it. Don't ask for more until you can manage what you already have. Don't ask for wealth until you've learned to manage energy. Don't ask for freedom until you've mastered your routine, because success is not a reward for the hopeful. It is the harvest of the prepared. You do not grow by chance. You grow by design. And design requires detail, specificity, focus. Ask yourself, where am I going? Who must I become to get there? What must I do daily, repeatedly, to earn the right to arrive? And when you have that answer, you go to work. Not when you feel like it. Not when others support you. But every single day. You wake up and you act as if you are already that man. You speak his words. You follow his schedule. You hold his posture. You adopt his standards. You live by his values. And you do not negotiate with the lesser version of yourself, not ever. That is how identity shifts. That is how growth locks in. You must raise your standards so high that the old version of you suffocates in your new environment. There must be no oxygen left for your excuses to breathe. And if you do that, the world will begin to respond differently. You will start to attract opportunities. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. You become the kind of person who deserves the things you once dreamed about. And the things that once seemed impossible begin to move toward you, slowly at first, then all at once. But you must not lose focus, because with success comes new distractions. With momentum comes temptation. And the moment you think you've arrived, you will begin to drift. That is the danger. Because growth is not a destination. It is a practice. You must stay hungry. Stay humble. Stay sharp. You must continue to force your evolution, even when you're winning. Especially when you're winning. Because the prize is not what you get, it's who you continue to become. Too many men rise only to fall. They grow a little, then plateau. They expand once, then relax. But the man who lasts, the man who sustains wealth, who multiplies success, who leaves a legacy, he never stops growing. He forces himself forward even when no one is watching. Because he's not growing for applause, he's growing for purpose. That's you. You are not growing to impress others. You are growing to unlock your potential. You are growing to fulfill your calling. You are growing to become the leader your family, your community, your generation needs. And that calling is too important to be paused for comfort. Now let's speak practically. Your growth must be measurable. You cannot improve what you do not track. If you are serious about your expansion, you must track your evolution. You must measure your habits, your hours, your results, your attitude, your energy, because what you measure, you manage, and what you manage, you improve. Every day ask, what did I do today to become better than yesterday? Did I grow? Did I act with clarity? Did I move with discipline? Did I live with intention? And if the answer is no, correct it. Not tomorrow, now. Because every day matters. Every hour compounds. Every decision either advances your future or delays it. You must also monitor your environment. Nothing stunts growth like a toxic atmosphere. Get around people who push you forward, who speak life, who call out your greatness, who remind you who you said you were becoming, and eliminate anything that tolerates your mediocrity. Because when you surround yourself with average, excellence becomes offensive. But when you surround yourself with growth, excellence becomes expected. Feed your mind, protect your focus, starve your fears. Develop routines so strong they eliminate the need for motivation, and build an identity so grounded in values that temptation has no room to grow. This is the architecture of greatness. And the wealth, the success, the admiration, they're all side effects. They show up quietly, without warning, but they never come before the growth. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. And if you want more, you must become more. You must wake up and work when the world sleeps. You must train when others quit. You must build when others distract. You must focus when others drift. And if you do, you will find something greater than wealth. You will find something stronger than recognition. You will find peace. The peace of a man who knows he is doing what he was born to do. The peace of a man who has mastered himself. The peace of a man who, whether the world watches or not, lives every day with excellence as his standard. And that peace will become your power. It will radiate in your energy. It will be felt in your presence. It will attract the people, the resources, the ideas, the opportunities that are assigned to your destiny. Because destiny does not chase the comfortable. It chases the committed. So commit right now. Commit to forcing your growth. Not because it's easy, not because it's popular, but because it's right, because it's the only way forward. Because every part of your future is tied to what you do today. The man who grows consistently will never go hungry, because he is always becoming more valuable. And value attracts everything the world calls success. But this value is not earned through talk. It is earned through action. Daily. Relentless. Unshakable action. The man who shows up daily, who pushes himself forward, regardless of praise or pressure, that man becomes undeniable. And when you become undeniable, you do not have to chase success. You simply open the door when it arrives. There will come a day when the rewards of your growth begin to materialize. A day when the things you once prayed for, financial security, influence, freedom, start showing up in your reality. But hear me clearly. That day will not arrive by accident. It will come because you forced yourself to grow through seasons when nothing made sense, through days when no one clapped, through nights when your own doubts whispered louder than your dreams. You will not receive more until you become more. And you become more by doing what others will not do, by getting up when it's easier to stay down, by staying focused when distractions surround you, by acting with precision when emotion begs you to retreat. And when that wealth comes, when the success arrives, do not forget how you got there. You did not drift into greatness. You grew into it. You forced the old version of yourself to die. You demanded a new standard. You repeated right action, not once, but daily, until your habits caught fire and your identity became unrecognizable to the man you once were. That's how a new reality is born. Now you must become the steward of this reality. Success is not a destination, it's a responsibility. And growth does not stop at achievement. In fact, it becomes more important, because what you have built must now be maintained, protected, and multiplied. You must stay sharp, stay grounded, stay in command, because the same pressure that once forced you to rise will now test you in different ways. You will be tempted to relax, to ease up, to take your foot off the gas. You'll hear voices, external and internal, telling you that you've done enough, that you can afford to coast. But you must not listen, because the man who coasts downhill soon crashes, and the man who stops growing starts shrinking. The rewards are not the signal to slow down, they are confirmation that your growth has been working. And now you must scale it. You must grow again, not to get more, but to handle more, because bigger dreams require bigger discipline. Greater wealth demands greater responsibility. And expanded influence requires deeper wisdom. You will need new levels of patience, new levels of focus, new levels of clarity. The old thinking will not support the new assignment. So your evolution must continue. Never stop evolving, because the moment you stop growing is the moment you disqualify yourself from your next season. You see, every season of success is a test wrapped in reward. It is the universe asking, can you handle this without losing yourself? Can you keep your character when everyone else is watching? Can you lead without ego, serve without complaint, build without permission? And if you can, your success will become sustainable. Not a high point, but a new foundation. Not a brief victory, but a lasting identity. You will have become the type of person success stays with. Not because you were lucky, but because you were ready. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this: success does not visit the unprepared. It does not waste its time on the undisciplined. It does not stick around those who can't handle responsibility. It gravitates to the man who forced himself to grow until growth was no longer an effort but a way of life. Make growth your way of life. Do not simply go through the motions. Do not grow once and settle. Live in a state of constant internal expansion, constant refinement, constant sharpening. Wake up each day and say, there is more of me to access. There is more of me to master. There is more of me to give. And do not let yesterday's achievements become the prison that limits tomorrow's possibilities. Wealth is not only a reflection of what you've earned, it is a measurement of what you can manage. And the man who grows internally will never be poor externally for long. Because the world will find him, it always does. You see, the universe rewards growth. It recognizes discipline. It honors clarity. It responds to intention. But it ignores the stagnant. It forgets the lazy. It bypasses the complainers. Do not become one of them. You are made to create, to rise, to lead, not in arrogance, but in principle. And if you've come this far, it means you've already proven something most people never will, that you can change yourself, that you can override your conditioning, that you can stretch your identity, that you can resist the gravitational pull of mediocrity and step into your higher self. But now you must protect it, because the world will try to pull you back. It will try to humble you, not in character, but in ambition. It will whisper that you're too focused, too intense, too disciplined. But you must not listen to the world. You must listen to your purpose. Your purpose did not bring you this far to be silenced by comfort. Your mission did not ignite in your soul to be extinguished by the applause of people who don't even understand what you're building. You must press on. You must grow until you no longer recognize your former self. And when that happens, don't gloat, Give. Give to others. Teach what you've learned. Lead those still stuck. Be the example they can follow. Let your life be the evidence that transformation is possible. Let your presence speak so loudly that no words are needed. Because a man who has grown deeply does not need to announce his success. It radiates from his being. It shows up in how he speaks, how he moves, how he treats people, how he makes decisions, how he keeps his promises, how he shows up every single day with no audience and no reward except the reward of knowing he's doing what most won't. That is power. Not just financial power, but personal power. And personal power is what builds dynasties. It's what turns vision into reality. It's what separates leaders from followers. It's what turns dreams into legacies. But only if you keep growing. So what now? Now you look in the mirror and ask, where am I still small? Where am I still shrinking? What belief, what habit, what excuse is still operating in the background? And once you find it, you destroy it. You replace it with discipline. You replace it with action. You replace it with a new standard. And then you reinforce that standard daily. You build the habits. You eliminate the noise. You push the edge. You never stop checking your alignment. Because alignment is the hidden key to sustained success. When your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and your behavior all point in the same direction, you become unshakable. You become the storm. And when you reach that place, wealth is not a surprise, it's expected. Because you've become the kind of person who naturally attracts it. Not because you're chasing it, but because you're carrying it. It shows up in your presence. It shows up in your work. It shows up in how people feel when you enter the room. Because growth is not invisible, it makes noise, even in silence. So here's your command. Never stop forcing yourself to grow, even when you're tired, even when you're discouraged, even when you feel like you've already won. Because the moment you stop, you start dying. Growth is life. And wealth and success, they are just the footprints that follow the man who walks in growth. So walk boldly. Walk daily. Walk forward. The world is watching. But more importantly, you are watching. And the man who honors his own reflection will never lack for anything. Because he knows with certainty that he did not hope for greatness. He became it. And because of that, everything else followed. Do you want to win? Do you want to be wealthy? Do you want to taste the kind of success that makes average men uncomfortable just to stand in your presence? Then I ask you a more important question. Have you disciplined your mind? For until you do, every desire you carry will remain a distant hope. Success, wealth, and achievement, all the things men chase, are not products of chance. They are consequences of thought, shaped and forged through mental discipline. You may have talent, you may have drive, but unless you have mastered the battlefield between your ears, the riches you seek will forever be delayed. It is not the man with the most resources who wins. It is the man who has trained himself to focus, to choose, to persist in spite of everything that stands against him. The world rewards the man who can direct his thoughts. It follows the man who refuses to surrender to distractions. It honors the man who does not negotiate with his feelings but moves forward by principle. Discipline of mind is the root of all greatness, and without it everything else falls apart. I tell you plainly, success does not begin with luck or timing or talent. It begins with clarity of thought. Before a single brick is laid, the blueprint must be exact. Before the harvest is reaped, the seed must be chosen carefully. And before your success can materialize in the physical world, it must be formed in thought, guarded by attention, and driven by focused repetition. Your mind is the headquarters of your results. If you fail to organize it, your future will remain chaotic. If you do not discipline it, your actions will remain scattered. If you allow every distraction to enter, every emotion to govern, every fear to settle, you will build nothing. You may try, you may talk, you may dream, but without discipline, you will never execute consistently. A disciplined mind is not distracted. It is not ruled by the news, by opinion, or by the mood of the hour. It is ruled by decision, and decision is the foundation of wealth. Ask yourself now, do your thoughts serve your purpose or sabotage it? When you wake, do you immediately move in the direction of your goals, or do you surrender to ease, delay, and disorganization? Most men lose the battle not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack structure. They allow their minds to roam wild, and so their results do too. But when a man brings his thoughts under control, when he begins his day with intention, speaks with clarity, acts without apology, he becomes dangerous. Not to others, but to his limitations. Let me give you the truth, whether you're ready or not. Wealth begins the moment you stop reacting and start designing. The moment you stop chasing and start commanding. And that command must begin within. It must begin with a mind that is loyal not to emotion, but to excellence. Discipline does not mean perfection. It means consistency. It means choosing to return to the goal even when you're tired, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. Discipline is not a loud force. It is quiet. It is constant. It is the voice that says, get up, when your body says, stay down. It is the whisper that says, focus, when your world screams distraction. Every morning you must begin with this. What am I thinking? Not just what am I doing, not what do I feel, but what am I thinking? Because what you think will become what you feel. What you feel will become what you do, and what you do will become your destiny. Your thoughts are the cause. Everything else is the effect. You cannot create success while entertaining thoughts of laziness. You cannot attract money while constantly thinking of lack. You cannot become disciplined while tolerating the chaos in your mental environment. If you desire to achieve something few have ever achieved, you must think in ways few ever dare to think. Most men think about what they fear. The disciplined man thinks about what he builds. Most men repeat their failures in thought. The disciplined man rehearses his vision. Most men crave comfort. The disciplined man craves order because he knows something the world has forgotten. Every great life begins with great thinking, and great thinking is a choice. It is a decision you must enforce daily. You must direct your thoughts. You must filter your thoughts. You must test your thoughts. And you must ask, does this thought move me closer to wealth or away from it? Does this belief strengthen me or weaken me? Does this feeling deserve to influence my next move? If the answer is no, it must go. That is the rule of discipline. The man who disciplines his mind walks through the day with clarity. He does not waste energy on guessing. He does not drown in overthinking. He decides because he has decided in advance what he values, what he pursues, and what he is no longer available for. And what is he no longer available for? Excuses, delay, self-pity, wasted time, because he understands. Time is wealth and discipline protects it. He no longer entertains people, places, or patterns that cost him more than they return. He is loyal to one thing only, the vision. That vision must be repeated until it is memorized. When your mind knows the vision, it can filter the day. When your mind is full of purpose, it will not absorb poison. When your mind is trained, you will no longer be trapped. This is why I say to you every morning, feed your mind before the world does. Speak what you seek. Declare what you demand. Establish your mental territory before external forces trespass on it. Say, I am focused. I am wealthy in thought. I do not drift. I am not a victim. I am building. I am mastering myself. My thoughts are disciplined, and so my results are consistent. These are not affirmations for the sake of ego. These are instructions. You are instructing your mind how to behave. You are setting the standard. And what you repeat becomes your rhythm. And when your rhythm is aligned, success becomes simple. Not easy, but simple. Because every action has been predetermined by your thinking. Your day is no longer accidental, it is architected. Let's talk about feelings. Because they will try to deceive you. Your feelings will tell you to slow down. Your feelings will tell you you're not ready. Your feelings will tell you it's too late, too hard, too soon. But your feelings are not facts. Your discipline is. And discipline says, I show up anyway. I finish what I start. I think thoughts that build. I focus when I don't feel like it. I build even when no one sees it. I win because I do not negotiate with my weakness. That kind of discipline transforms a man, not externally, but internally first. And then what happens? Money begins to follow that man. People begin to trust that man. Opportunities begin to appear for that man. Not because he got lucky, but because he got clear. Clear in mind, clear in mission, clear in thought. That clarity is expensive. It costs time. It costs distraction. It costs old habits. But it pays in results. It pays in income. It pays in confidence. It pays in legacy. And it pays forever. Because the man who disciplines his mind will never again be a slave to circumstance. He will rise no matter what the world throws at him. Because his mind, his thoughts, his focus is already built to win. So I ask you again, do you want to win? Do you want to build wealth? Do you want to master success? Then begin not with action. Begin with attention. Discipline your mind. And everything else will follow. Success is not a mystery to the man who has trained himself to think in alignment with his vision. It is not a riddle to be solved, nor is it a prize awarded at random. Success is the natural consequence of a disciplined inner world. Show me a man with strong habits, and I will show you a man with strong thoughts. Show me a man with powerful influence, and I will show you a man who has first mastered the private conversations he has with himself. Wealth is not acquired through motion alone. You can work from dawn until dusk, but if your thinking is conflicted, unclear, or emotional, your labor will produce little fruit. You do not just need effort. You need directional effort. Effort that stems from a clear, disciplined mental environment. Energy without direction is a storm. But energy guided by structure is a force of creation. So how do you build this inner discipline? You begin by taking full responsibility for every thought you allow to live inside your head. No more blaming your upbringing. No more excusing your environment. No more pointing to external chaos. The disciplined man understands that while he may not control the events of the world, he has absolute control over the thoughts he entertains, the focus he sustains, and the identity he reinforces. Success requires that level of ownership. It demands that you be ruthless with your mental inputs. The mind is a garden, neglect it, and the weeds will grow automatically. Fear, self-doubt, distraction, these are the natural overgrowths of an untended mind. But when you discipline your mind, when you guard it, when you feed it, when you train it daily, you begin to grow thoughts of strength, certainty, and resilience. This garden of thought becomes your internal empire, and from it all outward achievement is born. Let's talk about money. Money does not chase noise. It flows to order, to structure, to clarity. A scattered mind cannot manage wealth, let alone attract it. That is why so many people who come into sudden fortune lose it. They had not yet developed the internal mental architecture to sustain prosperity. They tried to elevate their lifestyle without elevating their thinking. But true wealth is not about what you possess, it is about what you can command through thought. Your mind must become a financial instrument, not a wish factory, not a chaos engine, a deliberate, structured, wealth-producing machine. This begins with simple, powerful practices. You set your intentions daily. You define your targets weekly. You review your decisions hourly. And most importantly, you eliminate any thought that does not support your ultimate goal. That last part is critical. You eliminate weak thoughts, not entertain them. You replace hesitation, not debate with it. You dismiss fear, not negotiate with it. The disciplined mind does not argue with low-energy thoughts. It simply denies them access. It recognizes that every thought has a price. And if a thought costs clarity, it is too expensive. If it costs peace, it must go. If it delays action, it is an enemy of progress. The man who masters this principle becomes unshakable, not because life is easy, but because his mind is no longer dictated by it. Understand this. Your outer world is not built by external forces, it is built by your dominant inner conditions. This is not speculation, it is law. If you are experiencing confusion, you must organize your thinking. If you are in constant stress, you must trace the mental loop that's feeding it. If you are surrounded by noise, you must silence the internal chatter that attracts it. You see, discipline is not something you do. It is something you become. It is not a part-time performance. It is a lifestyle, a philosophy, a system of operation that governs everything. How you speak, how you respond, how you think, and how you act when no one is watching. Let me ask you, what do your thoughts sound like when you're alone? That is the real indicator of discipline, because it's easy to appear focused when others are around. But what happens when it's just you and your thoughts? Do you still lead yourself? Do you still keep your promises? Do you still hold the line even when the applause is gone? That, my friend, is discipline. And that is what separates those who finish strong from those who fade out. Mental discipline makes you dangerous, not to others, but to everything that once limited you. Once your mind is aligned, nothing external can slow you down for long. Distractions come, but you cut them. Resistance rises, but you move anyway. Emotions shift, but your standard does not. This inner standard is the secret weapon of every high achiever. It's not seen, it's not shouted, but it is felt in every choice they make, in every word they speak, in every action they take. That standard does not lower to meet the world. The world rises to meet it. Discipline must become your identity. You must begin to see yourself not as someone who is trying to become disciplined, but as someone who is disciplined. You must speak it, write it, and behave like it. Say it aloud right now. I am a disciplined man. I do not tolerate delay. I move with precision. I act with purpose. I build from structure. My mind is my weapon. My habits are my proof. This is more than affirmation. It is installation. You are reprogramming your internal software to reflect the future you've already chosen. Because make no mistake, you are always choosing. You are either choosing to think like the man who wins, or choosing to recycle the thoughts of the man who loses. You are either reinforcing the future or repeating the past. You are either training your mind or allowing it to wander. There is no neutral ground in the arena of success. You are either building or breaking. But here's the beauty. Discipline gives you control, not just over your outcomes, but over how you experience life itself. With discipline, stress becomes fuel. With discipline, doubt becomes data. With discipline, Failure becomes feedback. Nothing is wasted because everything is processed through a trained mind. A mind that knows its mission. A mind that lives by code. A mind that is so focused, so aligned that even setbacks serve the strategy. You must now adopt that mentality. You must stop looking for balance and start building structure. You must stop asking, how do I feel today? And start asking, what does the mission require of me today? You must stop tolerating mental habits that don't serve your higher self. This includes negative self-talk, endless comparison, emotional reactivity, mental procrastination. All of these are weeds in the garden, and a single weed left unchecked will multiply. So you must weed your mind daily. You must train it hourly. You must protect it relentlessly. That is your job, not just as a creator of success, but as the guardian of your own future. Because without discipline, your ideas will stay ideas. Your goals will remain dreams. Your efforts will burn out in frustration. But with discipline, everything becomes possible. Because you're no longer waiting. You're executing. You're no longer reacting. You're creating. You're no longer debating. You're deciding. That mental shift changes everything. You will begin to notice it in how you speak, in how you walk, in how you carry yourself in every room. People will feel it before they see it. You will no longer need to explain your goals. Your presence will make them believable. That presence is earned. It is built in the hidden hours, in the lonely moments when no one is watching. When you silence the noise, structure the plan, and do the work anyway. And eventually the world will catch up. It always does. The man who disciplines his mind cannot be ignored forever, because his results will demand attention. His consistency will command respect. And his life will become a living example, not of luck, but of mental structure properly applied. Discipline your mind, and everything else will follow. The man who disciplines his mind does not just get ahead, he becomes unstoppable. He is no longer tossed by the emotional waves of the day. He does not run from responsibility. He does not retreat from pressure. Instead, he moves forward with a quiet confidence that can only come from mastery of self. His wealth may be counted in dollars, but its roots are deeper. It is built in decision, in self-governance, in a mind trained to win. Understand this clearly. A disciplined mind is a wealthy mind. And wealth in its truest form is not just financial, it is freedom. The freedom to choose your responses, to direct your energy, to align your behavior with your mission no matter the environment. It is the freedom from reactivity, from weakness, from the old habits that once controlled you. That freedom is only available to the man who has conquered himself. Do not envy the man with a big paycheck. Envy the man with discipline, for he can build anything, rebuild from anything, and create wealth wherever he goes. Because he carries his most powerful asset within him, a trained, focused, resilient mind. Let me remind you of something eternal. Riches gained without mental discipline are riches that will vanish. But riches born of a disciplined mind will not only stay, they will multiply. Because money is not the goal, it is the effect. The disciplined mind never seeks money as the aim. It seeks value, clarity, and contribution. And as a result, money follows him like a shadow. He becomes the cause, money becomes the effect. Now let me turn your attention inward once more. I ask you, what thoughts are you tolerating that contradict your vision? What beliefs have you accepted that are unworthy of your destiny? What habits have you allowed to live simply because you haven't decided they must die? You will not win by accident. You will win because your thoughts leave no room for losing. You will win because you have trained your mind not to entertain weakness, not for a moment, not for a second, not under pressure. When fear knocks, the disciplined man says, "You are not welcome here." When delay whispers, "There's still time," he replies, "I move now." When comfort seduces him to rest too long, he stands up and says, "Not yet, I've got work to do." He speaks to himself not as a victim, not as a follower, but as a leader of his own mind. And that leadership radiates into every part of life. In business, it makes him bold. In decision-making, it makes him fast. In adversity, it makes him calm. In leadership, it makes him trustworthy. Because he is not ruled by emotion, he is ruled by principle. That principle is built every day through repetition. If you are not training your mind daily, you are falling behind daily. Let me give you a formula, a simple practice, but one that builds internal wealth faster than any shortcut or gimmick. Every morning, rehearse your identity. Say aloud, "This is who I am. I am disciplined. I am driven. I act on command. I do not delay. I do not complain. I build. I create. I finish. Speak it, then act on it, not tomorrow, today." Every afternoon, review your behavior. Ask yourself, did I honor the man I declared this morning? Where did I drift? What must be tightened? Discipline is not about perfection. It is about correction. Small adjustments made daily create great men. Every night, give yourself clarity. Before you sleep, speak one thought into your subconscious. Tomorrow I rise stronger. I know what must be done. I do not hesitate. I move with power. Why? Because your subconscious does not sleep when you do. It works while you rest. It files instructions, reinforces identity, and prepares you for the man you must wake up to become. Most men let the world train their subconscious through television, gossip, or fear. You will train yours through deliberate instruction. That is how you build discipline. You build it like a craftsman, brick by brick, word by word, thought by thought. It will not be loud. It will not be easy, but it will be worth it. Because while the undisciplined man struggles to maintain consistency, you will walk in rhythm. While others feel lost in noise, you will move with clarity. While they are pulled by distraction, you will be locked on your mission. And slowly, silently, you will build the life others only talk about. You will become the man they watch but cannot understand. They will say, "He's lucky." No, you're not lucky. You are trained. You are trained to ignore delay, trained to override weakness, trained to show up regardless of how you feel, and that training will make you a magnet for every goal you once had to chase. This is the life of the disciplined man, not flashy but focused, not chaotic but clear, not hurried but decisive, because he knows exactly who he is. Not because the world told him, but because he told himself again and again until it became his nature. Now, you must decide if that man is you. And if he's not yet, build him. Begin now. Do not wait for a better environment. The man of discipline creates one. Do not wait for better motivation. The man of discipline acts on decision, not mood. Do not wait for a better plan. The man of discipline executes, refines, and improves as he moves. There will never be a moment more powerful than this one. Use it. Right now, decide what thought does not belong. Eliminate it. Decide what belief is holding you back. Rewrite it. Decide what action you've delayed. Move on it. Discipline is not about delay, it is about doing. And the more you do, the more you believe. The more you believe, the more you attract. The more you attract, the more you become. This is how success becomes inevitable. You align your thoughts with your vision. You align your speech with your identity. You align your actions with your highest standard. And everything else, money, influence, opportunity, legacy, it all follows. Not because you begged for it, but because you became the man who owns it. So I say to you one final time, you do not need more time. You do not need more information. You do not need more applause. You need one thing, discipline of mind. Discipline it, and all else will follow. Because when the man is in order, the money comes, the influence grows, the reputation builds, the peace deepens, and the future opens. That is the power of a trained, focused, unstoppable mind. That is the beginning and the end of all success. Discipline your mind. Everything else will follow.